Or at 7:12 a.m. in a quiet suburb outside of Dallas. A phone buzzes on a nightstand. Jeff opens one eye. He swipes the alarm off, flips the pillow, and mutters something he doesn't believe anymore. 5 more minutes. The sun is already pouring through the blinds. His to-do list is waiting. The gym shoes are still where he left them 3 weeks ago. He promised himself that this week, this time, he'd be different. But in the soft warmth of his bed, comfort wins. Again. He's not lazy. He's not stupid. He's just tired. Tired of the loop. Tired of waiting to feel ready. Tired of living like a spectator in his own life. And if you see a piece of yourself in Jeff, this video is for you. Because here's what they don't tell you. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they never start. They postpone their lives waiting for a signal, for motivation to magically arrive. For some version of themselves, smarter, stronger, more disciplined, to show up and do it for them. But the Stoics would look you in the eye and say, no one is coming, not today, not tomorrow, and that is your freedom. While we are postponing, Seneca wrote, life speeds by. Life doesn't care how many books you highlight, how many goals you write down. It responds to one thing only: action. You don't need a better planner. You don't need a productivity app. You need to move, especially when you don't feel like it, because the path to a meaningful life is paved with ordinary, unglamorous choices. Getting out of bed when it's easier to snooze. Finishing what you start, even when no one's watching. Doing the hard thing, because it's the right thing. This is not another motivational video to hype you up for 10 minutes and leave you empty. This is a call to responsibility, a reminder that you are the one holding the keys, and always have been. In the next few minutes, we'll walk through 8 brutal, beautiful, Stoic truths. Not for the faint-hearted, but for those who are ready to wake up. For real this time. So if you're done living life on standby, if you're ready to stop chasing the feeling and start becoming the person, then get up. Not just from bed, but from the fog of indecision, from the weight of excuses, from the quiet despair of wasted days. This is your moment. Let's begin. Lesson 1. Start now. There is no perfect tomorrow. It starts the same way every morning. You open your eyes, but you don't move. You stare at the ceiling, the soft light creeping in through the blinds. And in your mind, the excuses begin. Gentle, familiar lies. I'll start tomorrow. You know what you need to do, but still, you wait. And just like that, another day begins with a delay. Another promise postponed, another dream shelved for later. But let me tell you something that Stoic philosophers understood with brutal clarity. Tomorrow is not your friend. It is not your savior. It is the most seductive lie you'll ever believe. Because tomorrow is always perfect in your imagination. Full of motivation, free of distractions, untouched by fear. But tomorrow never shows up the way you picture it. Life doesn't begin one day. Life begins when you decide it does. Marcus Aurelius, an emperor who carried the weight of an empire on his shoulders, still reminded himself each morning, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I am rising to do the work of a human being, not a hero, not a genius, just a man willing to act. Because that's all it takes. Not inspiration, not perfection, just a decision to move. There's a man named Richard. 10 years ago, he wanted to get in shape, write a book, start a business. He told himself he just needed time, a better schedule, the right mindset. He blinked, and a decade was gone. Same job, same weight, same regrets. Because waiting doesn't keep you safe, it keeps you stuck. You don't lack time, you lack urgency. You don't need permission, You need to stop bargaining with laziness. Stoicism isn't about feeling good. It's about doing what's necessary, especially when it's uncomfortable. You see, readiness is a myth. No one is ever ready. Not when it matters. You don't become confident and then act. You act, and confidence is what follows. You take one small step. You write one sentence. You turn off the noise. And suddenly, momentum is born. That's the shift, from passive hope to intentional motion, from waiting to becoming. Seneca wrote, "While we are postponing, life speeds by." And he was right. So let me ask you, what have you been delaying? What truth have you been avoiding? What dream have you buried beneath someday? Dig it up, dust it off, and begin today, not tomorrow, this hour, this moment, because the longer you wait, the harder it gets, and the more you move, the more alive you feel. Start now. Not because it's easy, but because this is how greatness is born, not in comfort, but in motion. Lesson 2. Win the morning, win the day. There's a sacred moment often overlooked when your eyes first open in the morning. It's quiet, still. The world hasn't yet touched you. No emails, no traffic, no noise. Just you and a choice. Do you rise or do you retreat? This is where most people lose the day before it even begins. They don't lose because they lack talent or time. They lose because they surrender at dawn. The alarm rings. They hit snooze, not once, but 3, 4, 5 times. And with every delayed moment, they trade power for comfort. But here's the truth the Stoics knew, and what modern psychology confirms. How you greet the morning is how you greet your life. Aurelius, emperor of Rome and master of early rising, once wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being. What do I have to complain of if I'm going to do what I was born for?" You were not born to hide under blankets. You were not made for mediocrity. You are not here to live life on autopilot. And yet, most people roll over, tap the snooze button, and give their first victory of the day to laziness. Ask yourself this. What if your entire day was judged by the first 10 minutes? Would you be proud of who you are? Because that is the first battlefield, not the meeting, not the workout, not the to-do list. The battlefield is in your bedroom between your pillow and your purpose. Win there, and the rest falls into place. You see, mornings are more than just a routine. They're a ritual, a sacred start, a psychological cue that says, I'm in charge of this life. I choose how today begins. You don't need to run a marathon at sunrise or meditate for 2 hours, but you need a win. One small victory to remind your mind who's leading. It could be standing up the second your alarm goes off. It could be drinking a glass of cold water. It could be 5 push-ups, a journal entry, a walk outside, anything that says, today I move forward. Neuroscience shows us this. The brain craves certainty and momentum. And when you stack a win early, your confidence, focus, and energy compound. You gain clarity not by waiting, but by acting. You build discipline not by thinking, but by doing. And discipline, my friend, is magnetic. When you consistently win your mornings, people notice. You show up differently. You speak with conviction. You lead with calm. Because inside, you've already faced the inner war and won. It's not about being perfect. It's about showing up when it counts, and nothing counts more than the moment your eyes open. So tomorrow morning, ask yourself, not as a passive observer, but as the commander of your day, will I rise as a warrior, or will I fall as a slave to comfort? Because every great life begins not with a grand gesture, but with a quiet choice made in the dark. Win that choice. Win the day. Win your life. Lesson 3. Prioritize discipline over feeling. You will not always feel like it. In fact, on most days you won't. You'll feel tired, distracted, overwhelmed, uninspired. And that, right there, is the exact moment your future is being decided. Because anyone can act when they feel like it. But the ones who grow, who build, who rise, they move even when every cell in their body says, "Not today." Discipline is not a mood. It's not a spark. It's a decision. A contract between who you are and who you're becoming. And like every real contract, it doesn't care how you feel when it's time to deliver. We live in a culture that tells us to follow our feelings. But feelings are weather. They come and go. They shift with sleep, with sugar, with stress. Build your life on feelings, and you'll live in chaos. But discipline is the anchor, the lighthouse, the spine. It's the thing you return to when the storm arrives. Epictetus said, "No great thing is created suddenly." He didn't say, "No great thing is created without motivation." Because he knew, as all Stoics do, that the path to strength is built in friction, in resistance, in repetition. Want to know your real power? Look at what you do on the days you don't feel like it. Do you show up? Do you keep your word? Do you do the hard thing anyway? That's discipline. And it's not glamorous. It's making the call you've been avoiding. It's stepping into the cold morning to train. It's writing when the words don't flow. It's eating with intention when cravings scream. Discipline is choosing long-term alignment over short-term emotion. It's the muscle of the soul. And like all muscles, it only grows under pressure. But what if I burn out? You don't burn out from doing too much. You burn out from living a life that's disconnected from your values. Discipline reconnects you to purpose, to structure, to power. Feelings whisper, "Do it later." Discipline says, "Do it now." Feelings say, "You're tired." Discipline says, "You've done harder." Feelings give you comfort. Discipline gives you freedom. The difference between the life you dream of and the one you're living is often just 30 minutes of disciplined action. One workout, one page written, one decision to get up instead of scroll. You don't need to feel ready. You need to be willing. So starting today, stop negotiating with your feelings. Stop letting your emotions drive the wheel. Let your values take the lead. Let discipline rise, quietly, relentlessly, until it becomes who you are. Because the strongest version of you, he's not built on how you feel. He's forged in every moment. You act anyway. Lesson 4. Your life is built on your habits. You are not what you say you'll do. You are not your big ideas, your potential, or even your dreams. You are what you repeat. Every single day, your habits, not your hopes, are writing the story of your life. It doesn't matter how deeply you think or how much you want something. If your daily actions don't match your vision, your life won't either. Because in the end, your reality is shaped not by bursts of motivation, but by small, silent decisions made when no one is watching. You hit snooze, you skip the workout. You scroll instead of reading. You talk about change, but cling to the same rituals that built the version of you you're trying to escape. And what happens? 1 week becomes 1 month. 1 month becomes a year. And one day you look in the mirror and realize you haven't moved. But here's the Stoic truth. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Marcus Aurelius didn't become wise by accident. He wrote daily, reflected daily, chose discipline over desire daily. It wasn't glamour. It was practice, repetition, intention. And so must you. Because the person you want to be, strong, clear, disciplined, resilient, doesn't show up suddenly. They're built in the moments you feel weak, in the hours no one applauds, in the choice between comfort and growth, over and over and over again. You think greatness is found in huge leaps, number. Greatness is brushing your teeth in the dark when you don't feel like it. It's closing your phone to open your mind. It's standing up at 5 a.m., not because it's easy, but because you said you would. It's choosing what matters, even when no one is there to see it. Because habits are not just routines, they are votes. Each act casts a ballot for the kind of person you're becoming. And those votes add up, quietly, powerfully, inevitably. You can build a fortress of discipline or dig a hole of excuses. You can water your potential daily or let it dry up from neglect. So here's the challenge. Stop obsessing over what you want. Start obsessing over what you do. Don't wait to feel inspired. Train your body and your mind to act, regardless of mood. Pick one habit today, just one, and commit. Like your life depends on it. Because it does. You want a better life? Build better days. You want a better future? Shape better mornings. You want to become someone you respect? Show up, especially when you don't feel like it. No habit is too small. No change is too insignificant. What matters is consistency, direction, integrity. Because one day, you'll wake up inside the life your habits have built. And you'll either say, "I'm proud I paid the price," or "I wish I started sooner." Choose now. Choose better. Choose you. Lesson 5. Greatness always requires sacrifice. Everyone wants to be great until they realize what greatness actually demands. It's easy to admire the mountain peak, but few are willing to climb it in the cold, in the dark, with bloody hands and trembling knees. Because here's the truth no one likes to say out loud. Greatness is expensive, and the currency is comfort. In this life you can have ease, or you can have excellence, but not both. You don't get to scroll for hours and also build a legacy. You don't get to sleep in and also become someone your younger self would be proud of. You don't get to please everyone, avoid criticism, and still live a life that matters. The Stoics never promised ease. They promised meaning. And that meaning is born in sacrifice. Not in the shallow sacrifices you post about, but the quiet, lonely ones you carry every day. Waking up before dawn while the world still sleeps, turning down the party to work on your craft. Spending hours failing at something because mastery doesn't come cheap. It's saying no, not just to bad habits, but to average ones. Because average is the enemy of great. Marcus Aurelius ruled the most powerful empire on earth, yet he wrote by candlelight about the battle within. Epictetus was born a slave, and through suffering became one of the wisest voices in philosophy. They didn't stumble into greatness. They sacrificed for it, consistently, relentlessly. So ask yourself honestly, what are you willing to give up? Not in theory, not someday. Now, are you willing to give up your excuses? Are you willing to let go of who you've been to become who you could be? Are you willing to be misunderstood, judged, even disliked, if it means living with integrity? Because if you're not willing to sacrifice for your vision, then your comfort will become your coffin. You see, the universe doesn't punish laziness, it ignores it. While you're waiting, hesitating, choosing what's easy, someone else is sacrificing. Someone else is staying late, training harder, getting sharper, and soon they're living the life you said you wanted. But here's the best part. Sacrifice doesn't make you weaker. It makes you unstoppable. Every time you choose discomfort for a greater cause, you carve character. Every time you say no to the easy way, you earn your own respect. And when you look in the mirror, finally, you don't just see a dreamer. You see a doer, a builder, a warrior of your own life. So if you want the reward, pay the price. Let go of what's easy. Choose the harder road and walk it, not with resentment, but with resolve. Because the pain of sacrifice will one day be the proof that you didn't settle, And in that, my friend, is where greatness begins. Lesson 6. Comfort is the enemy of growth. We don't talk about it often, but most people aren't stuck because life is too hard. They're stuck because life is just comfortable enough to keep them from changing. You wake up in a warm bed. Your bills are paid. Barely. Your job may not inspire you, but it pays. Netflix is always there. So is DoorDash. You're not exactly happy, but you're not suffering either. And in that soft middle, between misery and meaning, your potential quietly dies. Comfort isn't the reward. It's the cage. The Stoics knew this long before the modern world gave us algorithms and air fryers and infinite distractions. They believed in voluntary hardship, cold baths, fasting, silence. Not because they were masochists, but because they understood a brutal truth. If you never choose discomfort, growth will never choose you. Comfort lulls you. It flatters your fears and sedates your ambition. It whispers, "You deserve to rest." But rest from what? From effort you haven't made. From goals you keep postponing. Every day you stay in your comfort zone, you reinforce the idea that challenge is something to avoid. That pain is bad. That discomfort is a sign to stop. But discomfort is not the enemy. It is the signal. It's the heat that forges the sword, the pressure that creates the diamond, the resistance that builds the muscle, not just in your body, but in your soul. You don't grow by wishing, you grow by hurting with purpose. Growth looks like waking up early when you want to sleep in. It looks like saying no to temporary pleasure for long-term gain. It looks like doing one more rep, writing one more page, having one honest conversation when it's the last thing you feel like doing. Marcus Aurelius said, "Ask yourself at every moment, is this necessary?" Comfort is rarely necessary, but discipline always is. Because every time you say yes to ease, you say no to evolution. And every time you lean into discomfort, you break the chains of mediocrity. Think of the most powerful people you know, not by money or status, but by presence. They are the ones who have trained themselves to walk through the fire, who've stopped running from pain and started walking with it, who've made peace with being uncomfortable, and in doing so, have become unshakable. You can't evolve if you're always escaping. So here's the challenge. Do one thing each day that makes you uncomfortable, intentionally. Cold shower, hard conversation, deep work. Whatever it is, choose the edge. Step toward the fear, not away from it. Because that edge, that's where you meet yourself. Not the version numbed by routine, but the one who's alive, burning, capable of more than they ever imagined. You want freedom, you want clarity, you want power, then give up comfort, for what you'll gain is worth every ounce of temporary pain. Lesson 7. Small wins every day make the difference. We've all done it. We've stood in front of the mirror, looking ourselves in the eye, whispering that familiar promise, "Starting tomorrow, I'll change." But tomorrow came, and nothing changed. It's not that we don't want to grow. It's that we keep waiting for some grand moment, some tidal wave of motivation or breakthrough or revelation that will finally push us into action. We romanticize change like it's a lightning bolt, sudden, dramatic, immediate. But change, real, lasting change, doesn't sound like thunder. It sounds like footsteps, software, steady, unremarkable, repeated. The Stoics understood this. They didn't wait for epiphanies. They practiced praemeditatio, daily reflection, daily correction, daily action. They knew excellence is not an act, it's a habit. And habits are born not from heroic effort, but from quiet, consistent commitment. It's not about doing everything, it's about doing something every day. One page read, one push-up, one meaningful conversation, one small decision to say no to distraction and yes to discipline. Small wins feel unimpressive at first. There's no applause, no immediate reward, no fireworks. But over time, they compound, like drops of water wearing away stone, like a seed cracking soil. Because the truth is this: your future is being built right now. In the small moments you think don't matter. You skip one morning workout. It seems harmless. You scroll for 30 minutes instead of writing. It feels like no big deal. You tell yourself, it's just today. But then tomorrow looks just like today. And the cycle continues until you wake up one day and realize you didn't fail. You faded. That's why small wins matter. They keep your fire alive. They keep you in motion when the big goal feels too far away. They train your brain to associate effort with progress, no matter how slight. Think of anyone you admire, the disciplined, the accomplished, the unshakable. They didn't get there by magic. They didn't suddenly wake up better. They did small, often boring things and over while no one was watching. Greatness is quiet at first. And if you're waiting to feel ready, to feel energized, to feel inspired, you'll wait forever. But if you take one small action right now, you'll create momentum. And momentum is everything. It shifts your identity from someone who wants to change into someone who does. So start where you are, not where you wish you were. Do what you can, not what seems impressive. And remember, the difference between who you are and who you want to become is what you choose to do today. One small win every day. That's how you change your life. Not all at once, but absolutely, inevitably. Lesson 8. You are the only one responsible for your life. It's easy to point outward, to blame the job, the system, the childhood, the economy, the parents who didn't understand, the teachers who never saw your potential, the partner who broke your heart, the friend who let you down. It's easier to say if only they had than to say the truth that stings the most. This is my life, and I built it. Maybe not with intention, maybe not consciously, but choice by choice, day by day, through every action you did take and every one you didn't, you built this life. It's not a punishment, it's not judgment, it's power. Because if you are the cause, you are also the solution. The Stoics didn't believe in self-pity. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire in chaos. Epictetus was a slave. Seneca lived in the crosshairs of a tyrant. And still, they taught, the obstacle is the way. What stands in the path becomes the path. They never asked, who will fix this for me? They asked, what will I do with this? And now, that question belongs to you. What will you do with the pain? What will you do with the fear? What will you do with this one life, this brief moment between birth and death, that has been entrusted to you and no one else? Because here's the reality. No one is coming. Not to save you. Not to carry you. Not to wake you up every morning, rip the excuses from your throat and tell you what needs to be done. That job is yours. Responsibility is not a burden. It is freedom wearing a tougher mask. When you stop waiting for rescue, you start moving. When you stop blaming, you start building. And when you stop deflecting, you start transforming. But here's the part no one likes to hear. If your life feels stuck, it's not because life is unfair, it's because you've stopped steering. You've handed the wheel to distractions, to habits, to fear. You've lived reactively instead of deliberately. You've let time pass and called it fate. But now you see it. You are not a victim. You are not powerless. You are not too late, too old, too broken, too anything. You are the one who decides where this story goes next. And no, it won't be easy. Nothing worthwhile ever is. But that's what makes it meaningful. You want strength? Step into discomfort. You want purpose? Create it. You want a life you can be proud of. Start acting like the person who deserves it. You don't need anyone's permission. You don't need the stars to align. You just need to wake up, take ownership, and start showing up. Over and over and over again, until your life begins to reflect the strength, the vision, the clarity you carry deep inside. And on the days when doubt creeps in, when you're tempted to blame again, remember this: responsibility is the door. Discipline is the key, and freedom waits on the other side. Now go. Not later. Now. There is a silent prison many people live in, one without bars, without guards, without visible chains. It's the prison of maybe tomorrow. A soft cell padded with excuses and wrapped in the illusion of comfort. Every time you say, "Not yet," every time you choose rest over responsibility, every time you wait for motivation, the walls grow thicker and your life stands still. You're not stuck because you're incapable. You're stuck because you've made comfort your master. Because you've bought into the lie that change starts with a feeling, that one day you'll wake up energized, focused, disciplined. That day doesn't exist. Stoicism teaches us something radically different. It teaches that action creates clarity, that discipline builds freedom, that the only way out of that soft prison is not through inspiration, but through movement. You don't need to feel ready to begin. You just need to begin. Each morning, you're given a chance and a sacred moment between sleep and wakefulness to reclaim your life. And what you do in that moment defines everything. Whether you hit snooze or rise, whether you scroll or move, whether you let the day slip through your fingers or grip it with intention, no one is coming to save you. No mentor, no partner, no motivational video can carry you across the threshold of change. Only you can do that. And you do it by waking up and showing up. Not perfectly, but persistently. That's the hard truth. The only person responsible for your life is you. And that's not meant to burden you. It's meant to liberate you. Because once you own that truth, you stop waiting. You stop blaming, you stop wishing, and you start moving. It doesn't take grand gestures. It takes small wins, repeated, relentlessly. It's one push-up, one page, one honest conversation. It's saying no to what numbs you and yes to what grows you, over and over again. You don't need more time. You need more discipline. Because discipline is the bridge between the life you have and the life you want. But discipline requires sacrifice. It asks you to give up comfort when to trade short-term pleasure for long-term peace. It will not feel good at first. It will stretch you. It will demand everything from you. And yet, it will give you more than comfort ever could. Because comfort is the enemy of growth. It dulls your edge, it erodes your ambition, it sedates your potential. And slowly, it steals your life. One easy choice at a time. So what's the alternative? Get up. Get it done. Not later. Not when you're in the mood. But now. Right now. Because the truth is, you are the miracle you've been waiting for. Not some external event. Not some wave of motivation. You, showing up. Even when you don't feel like it. Especially when you don't feel like it. That's what makes the difference between a life of regret and a life of strength, purpose, and quiet victory. So choose movement, choose discipline, choose action, choose the hard path, because it's the one that leads you back to yourself. No more waiting, no more soft lies, no more asking the world for permission. Your time is now, and the only way out is through.